Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Olivia. Today we're going to talk about something very important, small grammar errors that can completely change how people understand you in English. Even tiny mistakes like missing an article, misplacing a preposition, or using the wrong verb tense can have a big impact on clarity and meaning. Let's start with a simple but common mistake. Learners often say, "She is teacher." The correct version is, "She is a teacher." Repeat slowly, "She is a teacher." Just adding the article a makes your sentence grammatically correct and clear. Another small but impactful mistake is using the wrong preposition. For example, learners say, "I am good in English." The correct version is, "I am good at English." Repeat slowly, "I am good at English." Using the correct preposition makes your English sound natural and precise. Learners also often confuse past and present perfect tense. For example, they say, "I have seen him yesterday." The correct way is, "I saw him yesterday." Even small tense errors can confuse your listener about when something happened. Another subtle but impactful error is using the wrong plural form. For example, "I have two childs." The correct version is, "I have two children." Repeat slowly, "I have two children." Even small mistakes with plurals can make your English sound unprofessional. Another common mistake is learners confusing its and its. For example, they write, "Its tail is long." The correct version is, "Its tail is long." Repeat slowly, "Its tail is long." This small punctuation difference completely changes the meaning. Learners also often forget to use auxiliary verbs in questions. For example, "You like coffee?" The correct version is, "Do you like coffee?" Adding the auxiliary verb do makes the sentence grammatically correct and natural. Another subtle but important mistake is confusing less and fewer. For example, learners say, "There are less people today." The correct version is, "There are fewer people today." Repeat slowly, "There are fewer people today." Using the correct word ensures your English is accurate and professional. Finally, learners sometimes misuse subject-verb agreement. For example, "The news are interesting." The correct version is, "The news is interesting." Repeat slowly, "The news is interesting." Even a small mistake in subject-verb agreement can confuse your listener and make your English sound unnatural. Another subtle mistake learners make is confusing who and whom. For example, they say, "Whom is coming to the party?" The correct and natural version is, "Who is coming to the party?" Repeat slowly, "Who is coming to the party?" Even small mistakes with pronouns can make your English sound awkward. Learners also often forget to use auxiliary verbs in questions. For example, "You like coffee?" The correct version is, "Do you like coffee?" Repeat slowly, "Do you like coffee?" Adding the auxiliary verb makes your question grammatically correct and clear. Finally, learners sometimes confuse there, and there. For example, they say, "They're going to the store." The correct version is, "They're going to the store." Repeat slowly, "They're going to the store." Even small mistakes like this can make your writing or speaking confusing for native speakers. Another subtle mistake learners make is confusing between and among. For example, they say, "I shared the cake between my friends." The correct version is, "I shared the cake among my friends." Repeat slowly, "I shared the cake among my friends." Using the correct preposition makes your English precise and natural. Learners also often forget to use past tense for completed actions. For example, "I eat breakfast 2 hours ago." The correct version is, "I ate breakfast 2 hours ago." Repeat slowly, I ate breakfast 2 hours ago. Using the correct verb tense ensures your listener knows exactly when something happened. Finally, learners sometimes use double negatives incorrectly. For example, I don't know nothing about it. The correct version is I don't know anything about it. Repeat slowly. I don't know anything about it. Double negatives can completely confuse your meaning, so always check them carefully. Another common small grammar mistake learners make is confusing whose and whose. For example, they write, "Whose book is this?" The correct version is, "Whose book is this?" Repeat slowly, "Whose book is this?" Using the correct word ensures your question is clear and professional. Learners also often forget to match plural subjects with plural verbs. For example, the dogs runs fast. The correct version is, the dogs run fast. Repeat slowly, the dogs run fast. Even small subject-verb agreement mistakes can make your English sound awkward. Finally, learners sometimes use less instead of fewer with countable nouns. For example, there is less books on the shelf. The correct version is, there are fewer books on the shelf. Repeat slowly, there are fewer books on the shelf. Using the correct word makes your English sound precise and natural. Another common small grammar mistake learners make is confusing then and than. For example, they write, she is taller than her brother. The correct version is, she is taller than her brother. Repeat slowly, she is taller than her brother. Using the correct word ensures your comparisons are accurate and clear. Learners also sometimes omit the auxiliary verb in past perfect sentences. For example, I finished my homework before he arrived. The correct version is, I had finished my homework before he arrived. Repeat slowly, I had finished my homework before he arrived. Even small tense errors can completely change the timeline of your story. Finally, learners often use me instead of I in subject position. For example, me and my friend went to the park. The correct version is, my friend and I went to the park. Repeat slowly, my friend and I went to the park. Using the correct subject pronoun makes your English grammatically correct and natural. And that's it for today's video on small grammar errors that can have a big impact. As you've seen, even tiny mistakes like missing an article, using the wrong preposition, or misplacing a verb can completely change how your sentence is understood. Pay attention to details like articles, verb tenses, prepositions, and pronouns. Fixing these small errors will make your English sound fluent, natural, and professional. Remember, grammar isn't just about rules, it's about clarity, meaning, and confidence. By practicing these small corrections consistently, your English will become much stronger and easier for others to understand. Keep practicing, repeat the corrected sentences out loud, and try using them in your daily conversations. Over time, these small changes will make a huge difference in how confident and natural your English sounds. Thank you for joining me today on Talk Olivia. Keep learning, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video of this series. Bye-bye!